Okay, so it's my job today to say a few things. One, why translating natural language to transaction is probably the most exciting thing in AI and blockchain space today. And the other goal of this talk is to explain why I think this is the key to mass adoption. I've been in blockchain since 2014. I've heard that word a gazillion times. I'm tired of the word, but this is something that I feel like we're so close to, and this is truly the key to where things are heading. So my theory is that most transactions in the future will be created by natural language. So what does that mean? Having conversations to build a transaction and go from there. So in plain language, let's say this guy who is building something wants to understand, what DAOs am I part of? Maybe they want to say, do I have any open proposals that I can vote on? Can you vote yes on this one proposal? So it's not just about building the transaction, it's about having a conversation with something. Can you show me a graph on this? Can I go over and do that? And then eventually the end result is building the transaction. So why this is in mass adoption is this is where I think this is where we're heading. What was Chriselle wearing on Selling Sunsets episode 2, season 3, the pink one? And then, can I buy that now? This is where we're heading, 1,000%. And so why can't we get there today? So if we look at how the internet gave us this aha moment where we went, okay, we can go from, I do a transaction in brick and mortar only. It now allowed us to, now I can go on Amazon's website and build a transaction there, but it's only in there. Amazon, Airbnb, Etsy, they're all using Stripe. This is the way the process happens, and that allowed us to do a lot of things from home. But that was basically kind of end result of building transactions, right? It just became about finding content and going to these little silos and building those transactions on these different sites. So if I'm a developer, I cannot build a transaction on any of these platforms. I cannot go into Airbnb. I can't build my own web page and build a transaction that pays for an Airbnb, right? If you're lucky, you can do an API where you can go through Amazon. You can get a referral link, but at the end of the day, you have to go take that referral link, send them to their website. They have to log in, and that's the way the system works, right? So this is a massive bottleneck for innovation. This is kind of stopping a lot of all the interesting things that we're starting to see in blockchain, but how can we solve this? So there's 193 billion active websites out there. Imagine any developer not being able to actually go in to any of these many websites to help build all these creative transactions. Not only that, but these transactions are extremely boring, right? It's transferring value from A to B. We know in blockchain that the value transfer is just a really small part of what it is that we're doing. We're voting on DAOs, we're minting NFTs, we're creating ownership, we're handling our own transfer, not just from us to Airbnb, but from me to my friend. So this is just a tiny piece of the pie that we're after. So now we have smart contracts, right? These beautiful things that all these companies have are in the world that we have direct contact with. So if you've ever messed around with a smart contract, the way it works is all of their functions are exposed. You can go on Etherscan, you can see every single function. It gives you parameters to interact with these contracts. At the end of the day, every transaction is not that complicated. It just builds 3 different parameters, 4 different parameters like contract name, token ID, price, chain, and then execute the transaction. So that's still kind of difficult, right? So we had this point. Why didn't we have this explosion where everyone is going and building their own stuff off of what they're doing? The reality is Uniswap built the Uniswap UI. CowSwap builds a CowSwap UI. Building websites is hard. It's complicated. It's a lot of things. You have to maybe you can go and fork the CowSwap UI, but then you have to deal with cloud infrastructure. You have to build a very intricate UI on how to build that transaction. It's literally building these like 3 components. How do I get the contract name, token ID, and the price altogether, we have to build these very difficult UIs to accomplish these sort of tasks. Then you have to deal with SEO, translations, and a whole bunch of other things, right? So now let's talk about this new world, AI, right? How is this going to help solve this world where maybe you can interact with multiple dApps on any different platform? How can we do that? So what I'm going to show you here today, if I was actually connected to my interwebs. You guys following me so far? Is this making some sense? So this isn't something that's going to be deployed like next week or 10 years from now or 6 months from now. This is stuff you can mess around with today. Here's an app that we could never build in the traditional financial system. Here's an app that we couldn't even build the way the current open dApp systems work. We're going to CalSwap. We're asking it, hey, can you swap 10 USDC for virtuals on Base? One single command, and I could build that transaction. This is using chain abstraction, which I'll explain in a bit. But here we are, we're doing staking. We're asking it questions. How much do I have staked? Can you stake 10 more in my same pool? Can we, let's see, on a DAO, someone built a DAO agent where you can ask it questions like, what are some open proposals that I need to vote on? It looks like I'm a member of the Bitte.ai DAO. You could build that transaction, and off you go. You can even explain the transaction using AI with a bunch of different pieces. So here we are in Chinese, going and throwing that in there. And so imagine all of these DAO websites, they're having to deal with all of these different elements that just get solved in this single chat. We're deploying a safe now on BNB. Literally, all these agents didn't even exist 2 months ago. So building an open framework where anyone can just say, here's my smart contract. I follow these OpenAI specs within their manifest. They peg their smart contract functions to it, and bam, they have complete access to a conversation to your smart contract. Here, I'm roasting my piece. And there's also a registry where you can come in and see all these other agents that are off and running. So this is literally the key to any sort of games. If someone wanted to go and say, I want to create a natural language bot on Telegram or on Discord, maybe they don't want to build another CowSwap, but they can just build on top of that CowSwap agent. They can just plug these different things in here. So now this is the big migration of you guys have the power to literally build transactions, not just for your own dApps, but any dApp that exists out there. So to me, I'm not going to bet on Airbnb, Amazon, and Etsy continuing to build in these silo-isolated worlds. Obviously, blockchain is getting bigger, more powerful. The onboarding experience is getting there. Doing this since 2014, it's fascinating to see how fast all this rapid growth is happening. I mean, the writing is so plainly on the wall. When someone says for change to happen, it needs to be 10x greater than what it is. And literally, if we open up the entire world to be able to build transactions for any company, that's going to really be the catalyst for the mass adoption. So all these different agents exist, right? Now we can do things like swap 3 USDC for degen on Base. We can mess around with NFTs on OpenSea. We can do some staking and all these different pieces. We see the future as there's going to be a ton of these agents, right? People are going to be able to go in and fork these things. We make it really easy. Every single agent is open source. You can hit fork, and you can create a better CowSwap agent yourself. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be a great developer to do this. Within an hour, probably maybe a day, you could get your DEX to now start interacting with natural language in this system. So the hard part is going to be, right now it's a very selection process. You notice I clicked this agent and that agent. So the real hard part for us at the Bitte team is figuring out how to select which agent is the right one to run for you in an open world. Which agents should work together to help you build those transactions. And which one is safe, right? That's probably your biggest question. Not everyone looks at all these transactions and, what if one of these agents really screws me over? So for us, you can really sum up our entire existence here. Agent discovery needs to be fast, safe, and decentralized for human thrival. So this is the new world that we're heading, where AI is gobbling everything up. It's terrifying. This is probably humans' last invention, right? Because the AI will just be constantly inventing new things. But if we're able to start building our own agents and we're able to make them faster, build those transactions better, that's sort of the key for where we're heading. So the Bitte protocol, its main system is a client can be anything. It could be going through our chat. It could be a Telegram bot. It could be anything using the SDK, and we'll show you an embed system in a minute. They go in and ask questions. The validators are going to constantly be rating these agents on speed, price, accuracy, and fraud. And so the other question is, why do all these AI agents need tokens, right? So the biggest question everyone asks me within the system is, how do you combat fraud? What if that cow swap agent just, instead of builds a swap this for this, it literally just sends money to my account that we selected for you? So the whole key to our token is basically these agents are going to stake Bitte token into the network, and if they screw you over, the validators can slash those Bitte tokens and give them back to the person who got screwed over. So the whole goal is, how do we combat fraud? How do we make sure these agents have skin in the game? If you're not a developer, can you stake that agent? Can you help that agent get more power? Because the more that agent has staked, the more chance and likely it will be to actually get chosen to run a system. So we use chain abstraction at the core. This is a fascinating philosophy, mainly because you can control all the chains without having to switch different accounts. Has anyone heard of chain abstraction at this point? Yeah, it's really hitting home in this land of, how do I interact with all these different chains without having 15 different wallets and without having, because at the end of the day, right, we're just building a transaction. What chain are we doing on? Here's the parameters, and do this thing for me. You don't need a specific wallet to do all these things at every single chance. So the safe is a really fascinating piece that we have, which is, not only does an MPC get created and you get an account created, you can actually add recovery keys to your safe. So if the MPC dies, which is the core of what chain abstraction kind of is, and maybe it dies, you will still have your safe that will live long and forever. This is not very pretty, but if you look a little bit deeper, this will empower anybody's website to become a DEX, to have AI in their system, to do natural language and build transactions for them. So starting next week, we're actually going to be embedding our entire AI system into our landing page, and that's really the basic first step to you guys being able to embed the entire AI system into your landing page, or just use the SDK directly, or maybe you don't even want to use the chain abstraction system and you want to log in directly with your MetaMask. You'll be able to do that as well. So not super pretty, but this was taken yesterday. But being able to build the agent within a day, embed this into your own websites, and have complete control over login is the process. So my name's Nate. Texted transactions, Bitte.ai is the world that we're running. Thank you.
Thank you, Nate. As I was watching your talk, I was thinking, like, when do we get agent abstraction? Just one AI query gets to interact with all of them. So I think that.
Yeah, we have a Python agent that's in there now, where you could say, build some Python code and execute it for me, please. Like, say hello 16 times. So that's the beginning of agents building agents, and that's the next step.
Bullish. Thanks.